In today's video, I'm going to give you the truth about the best and worst of living in Dunn. If you disagree with me on any of these points, please leave me a comment. Understand that a pro to you may be a con to somebody else and vice versa. So although you may disagree with my list, there's others that may agree with it exactly. Let's get to the pros and cons to living in Dunn, North Carolina. So pro number one to living in Dunn is the low cost of living. So cost of living in Dunn is 13.8% below the national average. That means that your dollar goes further in Dunn, almost 14% further. Average home price around the area right now is $282,000. And although a lot of the housing stock around Dunn is older, it's quality, well-built brick homes. You're going to find a ton of one-story, three-bedroom brick ranch homes around Dunn. That was the style and continues to be the style, and a majority of the houses are going to be just like that. If you're considering a move to the area, I want to offer you a copy of my 2024 Home Buyer's Guide. Typically, this is only reserved for my personal clients, but if you follow the link in the description below, I'll send you a free copy right now. Pro number two to living in Dunn is your location. So I-95 is on the east side of town. So you drive through town, you get on the ramp, and you're on the east coast I-95. Now, with its location and access to 95, you also have access to Raleigh and Fayetteville, which are huge, huge perks for Dunn. Raleigh's going to have you anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour, and then out towards Fayetteville, it's going to be somewhere in the 40 to 50 minute range to Fayetteville. Pro number three to living in Dunn is the weather. So winters around Dunn are going to be very mild. If you have snow, it's going to be a once or twice a year thing. It'll be a dusting, and by the afternoon when the sun comes out, the snow's gone. It's typically how it is for most of the Carolinas here. Now, with the positive for the winter weather, I have to give you the negative. Summers are brutal. They get in the 80s, 90s, 80, 90% humidity. If you're somebody who sweats, I promise you, you're going to sweat. Now, you have to make that trade-off. Obviously, you get the winter where you can wash your car in November with a t-shirt on. It's fantastic. But June, July, August, it's going to be hot. So just make sure your AC's topped up and everything's maintained for the year so you don't have to worry about the heat. Now, with the weather being mild in the winter, one thing that a lot of northerners don't realize is that there's not a ton of salt down here. So when you drive around up north and you see all these cars that are rusting from the bottom up, well, that's because all the salt that's all over the roads. Down here, they do occasionally use salt that you do need to rinse off your car. But once again, it's a once or twice a year thing, and you just don't go driving those days and let it wash away, and it's not a problem. Whenever there is a storm, just be ready that the car washes are packed in the following days because everybody's trying to wash that salt brine off their car. Now, the cons to living in Dunn. So although Dunn is a great place, there are some cons that I want you to consider to the Dunn area. First con on the list is the limited job market. So although the unemployment rate is low, there's not a ton of jobs around Dunn itself for more specialized fields. You're going to find more of that up towards Raleigh or down towards Fayetteville. Now, of course, with Dunn being along I-95, there are opportunities for mechanics and heavy diesel stuff. Don't get me wrong, there are jobs, but if you're in a more specialized field, you're probably going to be looking at a commute to Raleigh and Fayetteville. Now, originally, the area was big with manufacturing. Over the prior decades, most manufacturing, just like, unfortunately, a lot of the rest of the U.S., the manufacturing's gone. So there's still some manufacturing in the area, but it's not really enough to write home about and get too excited about. Help me get this channel in front of more people like you by subscribing to the channel and giving me a like. Con number two to living in Dunn, your older infrastructure. So Dunn is very well maintained, but downtown there's a lot of old brick buildings. They're old. There's a lot of homes around Dunn They're made out of brick, but they're dated. They were built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe haven't been updated in 20, 30 years, and they need a little bit of attention. They're old. And the area just hasn't seen a ton of growth over the prior decades like some other areas have. So it's just trying to catch up now to some of that delayed growth. So just know they're working on roads and they're working on improving infrastructure. But at the moment, things are a little bit older around the Dunn area. Con number 3 to living in Dunn is your limited nightlife. So there's almost no nightlife in Dunn besides some bars and maybe some restaurants that are open a little bit later. There's events during the year where obviously there's social options, but don't expect every weekend for something crazy to be going on downtown that you can go out with your friends and stay out all night. It's not that kind of town. You're not going to find that kind of entertainment. And like I said, it's a small town, entertainment venues are limited, so you're not going to have Taylor Swift coming through town to do a show. It's just the reality of the area, living in these more rural areas. You need to be prepared to drive an hour up into Raleigh to go see a rock show. Now, I realize to some people that my pros may be cons and my cons may be pros. But if you think that, leave me a comment down below and let me know. All I'm trying to do here is give you my honest perspective on what I think about these towns and what I would be thinking about if I was going to move in. Hopefully my perspective gives you a little bit of insight. Like I said, I think I'm the only guy online making videos about Dunn, so hopefully this was insightful for you. Personally, Dunn is one of my favorite towns in Harnett County, besides Angier, but Angier's kind of for different reasons. Dunn still has that old southern small town feel, and I always love it when I have to go to downtown Dunn. If you're considering a move to Dunn, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss it with you, go through what your options are, and see if it would be a good fit. Before you go, please subscribe to the channel below so that you don't miss any future updates that I'll be releasing.